Hello, it's spring cleaning time. A lot of people are digging out all of the summer equipment and kind of making that shift. But really long-lasting, sustainable changes come with daily practices, like with the things that happen automatically on repeat without really having to think about them, as opposed to a big overhaul. Now, I mean, like there's a place and a time for everything, and I've definitely partaken in my big overhauls and big spring cleanings, but the things that I like to focus most of my time and energy on now are developing a culture in my space, developing practices in my space and systems that keep things functioning and flowing smoothly. You don't have to be a minimalist in order to take advantage of some minimalist practices to have a home that feels more intentional and put together and just runs a little more smoothly. So that's what we're talking about today, some really impactful practices that you can definitely steal even if you're not a minimalist. And I'm gonna be doing a little bit of a home reset today, so you can come along with me while we chat about this. This is my living room / playroom. Got a few toys to put away while Chloe is over at the grandparents. And yeah, let's talk about practices. Last week, I shared about my trip to Japan and just like some of the differences that I saw in their lifestyle there versus here in the States. And that sparked a lot of conversation in the chat about the difference in culture and values. And I 100% think that that starts inside of your home with the values that you are teaching your kids, the values that you're taking in as a family as part of your daily lifestyle. And those values are reflected in the things that you say, the things that you normalize, the way that you say things, and essentially the messages that you're sending and conveying as a part of your family culture. Normalize letting things go, you know, like as a family, it's easy to collect a lot of stuff because you have multiple people, different age ranges and interests, and you're like trying to fit all of that into one shared living space. And so you can easily accumulate a bunch of stuff. So decluttering becomes easier when it's just a family value and not like a consequence. And you may be thinking those things in your head, but if you say it out loud, then it's getting even more value because other people are able to hear and learn from that and kind of take it in as being the acceptable approach to dealing with your stuff. So you can say out loud, you know, this pan never gets used, so I'm gonna donate it. That's less to wash. Or, you know, these shoes hurt my toes, so I'm just gonna get rid of these and wear the ones that I actually like wearing. When you say things like that out loud, you normalize that it's just okay and totally natural to let things go. You don't have to keep things in the home that you're not using or that you don't like. Start asking questions out loud when you're evaluating things instead of debating in your head on your own and making those decisions yourself. You could ask out loud, like, oh, what's the purpose of this basket? Or does anybody remember what this cord is used for? Do we still need this? Or, you know, what does this toy do? Does this actually still work? Like, involve other people in the thought process. And that helps to normalize letting things go in general. Say out loud phrases that indicate that you're making space for something better, not just letting go of something good, you know? So like, you've outgrown these books. You don't really want me to read this one anymore. Why don't we look at some books that you actually really enjoy? You know, you really like the Small Mouse Big Bear book. Let's see if we can find some more that we can upgrade this section and get rid of some of these old ones that are too little for you. You know, like verbalizing those types of things. Of course, depending on the age, you might say things differently, but you know, verbalizing those types of things makes such a big difference in creating the values and the culture inside of your home. Instead of enjoying the changes that you've made yourself and keeping it all inside, like say it out loud. Man, I love how I can find all of my cute little teacups now that this cabinet is cleaned out. Or, oh man, I just love how much space we can see now when we walk into the kitchen. Isn't this nice? It's like a deep breath of fresh air. You saying those things out loud, again, spreads that culture. It spreads that mindset. You can model permission to let things go instead of guilt of keeping something that they don't really want, you know? Instead of saying, how come you don't ever wear that sweater, you know, your grandma gave you? She put a lot of thought and effort into that. You could start by modeling it for yourself. Like, that was so sweet of grandma to give me this. I'm so grateful for that. Wasn't that nice? But I don't really need one of these right now, and that's okay. You can also model it by just celebrating white space. Like when you run into a room and there's so much blank space on the floor, everything's cleared up, just maybe dancing around the room or spinning around and being like, oh, isn't it great to have this much space? I love having space. Those types of things can help to positively reinforce the behaviors that you really want to see inside of your space more without all of the negativity. Everyone's taking the one simple path. It's a simple concept, kind of like the one touch rule, but in this case, it's the one path rule. It's not about perfection, it's about predictability. So like whenever we're out of groceries, everybody knows, don't just go tell somebody else, hey, we're out of milk. You automatically add it to the Alexa dot. That's our one path. We all have the same system we're following. That way, when somebody goes to the grocery store and pulls up the app, all of the groceries that we need are there, and one person wasn't writing them down while another person was telling someone else. Any loose papers or flyers, you know, like Chloe's swim lessons, I snap a picture of it. That way I have a copy of it if I need to pull it up and get the information when I'm not home and I don't have it on me. And then from there, I can take my digital processes like adding something to a calendar or setting a reminder. But one path. That path does not include keeping a stack by the microwave or keeping some things up on the desk in my room and other things on the kitchen counter. Create zones that do one job really well. So like this entryway is for jackets, it's for backpacks. Right now everybody is gone with their backpack, but when they come home, the backpacks will go here. And it's for shoes, and the shoes go on the racks, not on the floor or down the stairs or like, you know, in the hallway. There's a specific zone for these things, which makes it more successful than if we had just a general table and a bin. You know, in the living room, it's the big toy shelf that is where all the toys go. One space, one zone that's dedicated to one thing. It's not a general armoire where we're sticking books and tools and every randomness and then also shoving some toys in the drawers. Nope. That chest is dedicated to all things toys, except for like the very top shelf that you can see where I have just a few decoration items because you can see them through the glass. We have a ton of bins over here, and each bin is dedicated to a different thing. Now, we could make this entire area dedicated to a specific type of thing, but that doesn't fit our needs. So instead we have two different bins that hold different types of games. One of them holds our larger games, one of them holds our smaller games, kind of like the one path rule that keeps everybody on the same page. Everybody knows what to expect. Everybody knows where things go. You don't have to be a minimalist to implement that type of organization and intentionality into your space. Just keeping one or two visual spaces clear can make such a big difference. Visual clutter overloads the brain, especially when you're juggling, you know, parenting and work and life logistics. Creating just a small island of calm can help you to feel more in control and more confident and productive and just like have a better mood overall. Also, I can't overstate enough like how important culture curation is to a home as a whole. Celebrate that white space, like verbally celebrate it, even if it's just one little strip of table in the middle of an otherwise chaotic space. You know, calling out the things that are good and positive, you're more likely to see more of that happening. You could say something like, man, this table's giving my eyes a break. It's really peaceful, isn't it? Just something small and verbal like that can really help to set the tone and build a little bit of curation culture inside of your space. Here's another practice for you. Embrace the power of enough. Minimalism isn't about having the least, it's also about knowing what's enough. And again, even if you're not trying to practice minimalism, it's such a good practice to have to start getting in tune and in touch with what is enough inside of your space. That idea can be radical, especially for busy families who are used to chasing more and moving fast. Things can quickly become a grab it and go mindset. Movement and quick actions can sometimes just feel more productive, like you're getting more done, you're moving fast, but sometimes it's actually more productive to assess what you really need and develop simpler habits. How many towels are we really using in a week? How many loads of laundry am I having to wash that are just towels? Could we simplify that by hanging towels up to dry instead of grabbing a new one every time? How many pairs of shoes do my kids actually need and wear? Would it cut down on stress if we had a couple of pairs that always sat in the same place instead of having multiple pairs that are spread across different rooms of the house? It's a shift in mindset for sure, but it can make things so much simpler, and sometimes when you simplify, things actually progress faster and can help to lower your heart rate from all of the rushing around and grabbing and then taking care of all the things that you've rushed around and grabbed. And the last thing I'll leave you with is kind of the thing that I started with, which is to shift from cleaning your room to resetting your space. Cleaning feels like a one and done. It has this whole mentality of like, you know, when you do a deep clean, like you should do it once and you shouldn't have to repeatedly do these deep cleanings or do this decluttering. It feels like something that, well, I've wasted all of my time if I cleaned the house yesterday and I have to clean it again today. Whereas the mindset of resetting is a little more fluid, it's a little more flexible, and it has a different intentionality. So whereas, doing a deep clean, you're kind of sterilizing, you're putting everything away and it's forever home. With resetting, there's a little more flexibility to keep life existing in that space. So for example, like if your kid's in the middle of a big Lego project, if you're doing a deep clean, all those Legos are being put back in the box, it's being cleaned up, put up in its space. If you're just doing a reset, well, maybe those Legos get to live out on that table while they're in the middle of that big Lego project, and everything else around the room is getting cleaned and reset. It just has a little bit of a softer and easier note to it. And honestly, it's a little more realistic. It's not perfect and it doesn't need to be. It just lets you flow through your space without the need for a full overhaul. That's minimalism for real life. I feel like those of you who are actually living a minimalist life, you're probably doing regular resets way more than you're doing a deep clean or, like a full-on declutter. You don't have to be a minimalist to enjoy these practices. You don't have to do a full decluttering and purge all of your kids' toys and go through and do a full closet declutter to see real changes that are maybe even more impactful inside of your space, because again, you're developing that culture, that mindset of having a clutter-free space. If you want to focus a little bit on building a culture of less at home, I did put together a family mindset shift cheat sheet that you can download. I've got the link down in the description. I've added it to my resource library, so those of you who already have access to the library, that will be added. Be sure to tune back in next week. I'm really excited because next week I'm going to be starting a new series for May that is all about environmental design and the brain science behind our clutter, all of the good kind of behind the scene things that I love talking about. We're going to be starting that next week for May 2025, and I'll chat with you then.